Okay, so we are on to the last week of the regular season here, week 17. For most teams, this is it. This is the end. Actually, I think it's half. Uh, no, it's less than half because it's 14. Because now we have 7 of each, so it's little less than half. So a little more than half are going home, and then again, 14 teams are still vying for that Super Bowl. And January 10th is the start of the playoffs. January 3rd is week 17. It's we're already 2 days away from New Year's. We're almost a week away from Christmas. it's this. I mean, this is the time between Christmas and New Year's where everything's kind of just it is what it is. Things go fast. Things go slow. This year it has gone really fast, and I think a lot of people are happy about that because everyone is ready to just move on to 2021 and move past 2020, forget 2020. And 14 teams are going to have that option and going to start playing in 2021. Well, everyone is going to play in 2021. It's just, you either have one last game 3 days into the season or you have another week. So, first game, well, I should say, actually, I'm up to Miami and Buffalo, I believe it is the noon slots, and then everything from Seattle to San Francisco is the Seattle versus San Francisco down to New Orleans and Carolina is Sunday afternoon. So this is all Sunday games, and then Washington football team and the Philadelphia Eagles end the season on Sunday night. There is no Monday games. There is no Thursday games. This is it. So first game we have here. Atlanta heads to Tampa Bay. 2 weeks ago, Atlanta had a 17-point lead, I believe, and blew it. And then they played really good against Tampa Bay. Or not Tampa Bay, against the Chiefs and lost by a last-second field goal. A missed last-second field goal, I should say. So, I mean, they go from, choking to playing and sticking with against the best. I don't know if I can call them the best team in the league anymore. I don't. I think Packers are up there, Bills are up there. If the Chiefs play the way they did, I don't know if I can put them as first. I really don't. So anyway, back to this. I'll probably have a rankings video coming out Friday or something like that for the whole year. I am picking Tampa Bay to win this, but I would not be shocked if Atlanta ends the curse, if they either, hold on to a big lead, or if they come back and win, take something to overtime maybe and win or something like that. But until it happens, I'm not going to hold my breath and I'm not going to wait for it. So Tampa Bay is my pick. Yeah. Then we have Dallas and New York Giants. It's in New Jersey, obviously. Buffalo's the only team that actually play in New York. But anyway, this team that wins this game is going to be holding their breath for another 6 hours to see if they won the division or not. I am picking Dallas to win this game, which means they have to wait. Dallas is going to have to wait. Again, it's going to be 6 hours or something like that for Washington football team and Philadelphia to play each other. And if Washington loses, then in this scenario that I have here, Dallas would win the division and get the number 4 seed. Otherwise, again, the Giants win, Washington football team loses, Giants get the division. So it just depends on what happens. We'll see what happens. But for this game here, I'm picking Dallas. Then Jets head to New England. I don't know. I don't know where to start with this. Jets have a 2-game winning streak. They just beat the Browns. Browns didn't have any wide receivers. Well, any of their first-string wide receivers, I should say. And New England just got beat by the Bills. It's not a lot to say there. So I'm going with New England because they're better by a little bit. Even if the Jets win, they don't they can't move to the 3rd pick of the draft. Excuse me. And they obviously can't move back down to 1 because the Jags are Probably not going to beat Indy. So even still, even if the Jets lose and Jags win, Jags still hold the tiebreaker too. So Jets are stuck at 2 basically. New England is my pick. Then Minnesota heads to Detroit. Minnesota is officially eliminated from the playoffs after New Orleans, took them out on Christmas Eve or Christmas Day in the afternoon. I should say, not Christmas Eve. Christmas Day in the afternoon. Faces Detroit, who got blown out against the Bucks. I believe it was like 44-14 or 44-21 or something like that. I don't remember exactly. I didn't pay any attention to that game because I knew the Bucks were going to win, so I didn't. There's no point in really paying attention to that. So I'm going with Minnesota. It was just reported that Dalvin Cook's not playing today for family reasons. His dad just passed away, but I still think that Minnesota will have enough power. I think Madison and whoever's back up to Madison, because now Madison's the number 1 running back. So whoever's back up to him, and then Kirk Cousins, Justin Jefferson was a really good wide receiver, and Adam Thielen. That offense should be enough to take care of that team and win. Defense, a little shaky, but I think that they should be fine, good enough. So my pick is Minnesota. Then a really interesting game. Pittsburgh heads to Cleveland. Now, why it's interesting is it was announced really early. Now, I believe it was Monday. Pittsburgh came out and said, we're going to bench some people. Mason Rudolph is going to start. So that means Ben Roethlisberger is starting. So I don't know how many people they are benching. I don't believe I saw a number. I believe they said there's just some people that are getting benched, which means if Cleveland gets their wide receiver core back, the first strings basically back, I think they have a chance to win this game, which means Cleveland is going to be in the playoffs. That's they can't win the division anymore because with Pittsburgh beating Indy last week, which big comeback, a 21-point comeback or something like that, just insane, and Pittsburgh locked up the division. But Cleveland can still get, I believe, I just did a video on this Monday. I think it was the 5th seed, I believe. So if Cleveland wins here, they're in the playoffs. If they lose, I believe they can get taken out of the playoffs. I believe they can. I think Indy has to win, Ravens have to win, Miami has to win. So I believe all 3 have to happen. In order to kick the Browns out. But I think, that's too much to happen. That needs to happen to kick the Browns out. So I think the Browns will get in again. If they win, it's almost guaranteed. Almost. So we'll see what happens, but I am picking Cleveland to win. Then Baltimore has Cincinnati. Cincinnati is on are they on a 2-game winning streak too? that's crazy. I don't think Cincinnati can win, but anything is possible. Baltimore is obviously still vying for a playoff spot. They are actually right now in the 6th seed because Indy lost. Which put Baltimore in the playoffs, and they have the tiebreakers over Miami. So Miami is still hanging on to that 7th seed, barely, but they're hanging on. So Baltimore should win this unless, again, back-to-back wins for Cincinnati. Can they make it 3 in a row? I don't know. We'll see. Again, some of these games are getting harder and harder to predict, especially because this is a divisional rival. So just like Pittsburgh, this could easily go in the way of Cincinnati, and Cincinnati could blow them out, and then Pittsburgh slowly comes back, or Ravens slowly come back, and it's not enough in the end. That's just how it could happen. We'll see what happens, but it could happen like that. So then Miami heads to Buffalo. Sadly, Miami is going to need help here. I am thinking that Buffalo is going to win this game. It was not reported, at least the time I'm recording this, that Buffalo is sitting anyone. I believe because they can still fight for that number 2 seed. I think they need Pittsburgh to lose, and they have to win, and I think they can lock up that 2nd seed if that happens. So I don't think they are sitting anyone. It is not reported that I have seen. There might have been something that I missed reported, and they actually are, sitting people. But from what I have seen, they are not. So I am thinking Buffalo is going to win this game. Look for a tight game, though. I think Miami is going to keep this really tight, but Miami is going to need help to stay in the playoffs, and they're going to need, Colts to lose. You basically just need the Colts to lose, or that, one other team to lose, so that Miami can stay in the playoff at 7th seed. Then Seattle heads to San Francisco. This is going to be a really interesting game. If Seattle loses this game, Packers lock up the number 1 seed. If they win, then Packers, just have to basically beat Chicago to get the number 1 seed. San Francisco can play spoilers to that. I am not picking San Francisco. I did think about them getting healthier. They have George Kittle and some other pieces back. And I don't remember who they played last week, but I think they lost. If I'm not mistaken, I think here. Let me just go back up to week 16. They played Arizona. Yes, I believe they lost against Arizona last week. So I think, San Francisco is not going to be able to beat Seattle. That defense is getting better and better. I would not say they're, amazing top 3 defense, but when you have 14 teams left in the playoffs, they're probably a top 10 defense. And in the NFC, you're a top, top 7 defense in the NFC alone. So it is what it is. But I think Seattle's going to win, so I do think that the Packers are going to have to win against Chicago in order to get the number 1 seed. So Seattle wins this. I would not be surprised if San Francisco upsets and wins, but I just don't know if they can. So then Arizona heads to LA Rams. This one is going to be really interesting too for Chicago and Arizona. If Chicago loses and Arizona wins, Arizona gets the 7th seed. If Arizona loses, Chicago loses, Chicago gets the 7th seed. If Chicago beats Green Bay, Arizona is still game behind even if they beat the Rams, so they're out of the playoffs too. So Arizona needs to win, and they need Chicago to lose to sneak back into the playoffs. Right now, they are on the outside looking in. They're basically the only team outside, again, of the winner of Dallas and the Giants. This is the only other team outside looking in that can, hopefully sneak in. So I do have them winning here. Jared Goff is, I don't know if he's playing or not. There have been reports that he is playing, that he's, I have seen stuff earlier this week that he wasn't. So I don't know with him. They did sign, was it Blake Bortles to their practice squad or to their actual team. So that's a sign that Jared Goff might not be playing. So that offense just, looked bad last week against Seattle. Seattle obviously beat them. So I'm picking Arizona to beat the Rams. And I think the Rams actually beat them once already. So this is, tiebreaker, but this will help the Arizona Cardinals sneak into the playoffs. And then I think this actually pushes them up to the 7th or 6th seed because Rams are in the playoffs right now. So that means, with the tiebreakers and everything, Rams would move back down to the 7th seed. But then Chicago would be eliminated. Then Jacksonville heads to Indy. Indy is still playing for that AFC South division title. They need Tennessee to lose against Houston, and they need to beat the Jags. Obviously, anything is possible. Jags could beat them. We'll see what happens, but I have Indy winning. Then, literally right next game, Tennessee heads to Houston. Last time they played this game, did they take them to overtime? I think Tennessee won in overtime. If I remember that correctly, it took till overtime to beat Houston earlier this year. So we'll see what happens. Tennessee just came off a loss against Green Bay, pretty hefty loss too. but win and you're in. Lose and if Indy wins, they're in. So, uh, you know, we'll see what happens. I think if Tennessee loses and Indy wins, I think they're eliminated. No, they might have tiebreakers and stuff over other teams. So maybe not. Maybe they're still sneaking in the playoffs. We'll see. But I'm picking Tennessee to win. Then Las Vegas Raiders head to Denver, Mile High. Both teams are just playing for draft picks. I'm going with Denver because I mean I don't know what to think of the Raiders. I thought they were good earlier this year. Then they fell off, and then they got good again, and then they fell off. And it's just like, who is this team? What are they doing? And Denver, again, I was never on the Drew Lock hype train. Still not. He plays decent. He plays good. But, he needs, he needs receivers. Probably needs a better O-line. He just needs help around him if he wants to, actually look a lot better. So we'll see what happens, but I think Denver will win this, and a meaningless game. So then the Chargers head to Kansas City. I think it was reported that Chiefs players that they're resting some of the Chiefs players. I could be wrong. A couple iffy things here this week about reports and stuff. So he might like Patrick Mahomes and them might be resting. I don't remember. Again, I'd have to look way more into this. And it's still early in the week, so I could put this up, and then Friday we could have reports that they are playing or they're not playing or whatever. So I'm going with Kansas City. Justin Herbert did take the Chargers or did take the Chiefs to OT before they lost last time. So this could be a game where it takes them deep into OT, especially after the Falcons almost beat the Chiefs or took the Chiefs into OT. I think the Chargers could very well do the same thing. So then a meaningful game for both teams here. Chicago again it's probably more important for them, but locking up the number one seed for Green Bay is really important too. So I do have Green Bay winning this. I think this is going to be all you got from everyone on both teams. This is going to be a dogfight here. This is my favorite rivalry in the NFL all time. Currently, recently you could say Steelers Ravens is pretty good. Packers Vikings is pretty good recently, but all time Green Bay Chicago is the best rivalry in the NFL. You could even argue in all of sports. I know Yankees and Red Sox, I believe it is. You can argue that. And then I think there's like one other thing in a different sport you can argue, but this game is going to be really interesting. Both teams have something on the line. So expect both teams to play with their hearts. I think Green Bay is going to barely win. I think it's going to be 27-24. Packers barely win here, barely get the number one seed. And then, if they might finish before Arizona, so they're probably going to be watching the team play on the Jumbotron in Soldier Field. So if Arizona loses, Bears sneak in. If Arizona wins, Bears are out and eliminated. So we'll see what happens. There's a lot riding here for both teams. So then I don't want to call this a meaningless game for New Orleans because if Seattle loses and Green Bay loses, you can get that number one seed, but you need both of those things to happen. Hang on. I'm sorry. You just need Green Bay to lose. I think that's what it is. I think that is what that is. Because Seattle needs Green Bay and New Orleans to. Yeah. Okay, doable. It's doable. Carolina puts up a lot of a fight against teams, so I would not be surprised if this goes down to the wire. Last 30 seconds of the game is the winner. We'll see what happens. I am picking New Orleans to win, but I think, again, if Seattle loses or Green Bay wins, they get the seed automatically. So, you're praying that Green Bay loses, and, you need help that Seattle wins. So, there's a lot riding here, and you have to win. You have to beat Carolina too, so you can't overlook Carolina here at all. So there, a lot here to factor in for New Orleans if they want that 1 seed. So I would say Green Bay almost has it locked up because again, you have two ways of getting it. And both could happen, which it doesn't matter as long as one or the other happens. You get it. So, but look for New Orleans to win this game. Then Sunday Night Football. This one kind of sucks. Washington Football Team heads to Philly, as I stated earlier. Dallas, the winner of Dallas and Giants is going to be watching this game, or Cowboys and Giants, I should say, is going to be watching this game. If Washington loses, then one of those two teams gets the playoff spot. If Washington wins, Dallas and the Giants are eliminated. So I am picking the Washington Football Team to win, but Eagles could play spoils. They could ruin the hopes, and we could see Dallas or the Giants get in. So we'll see what happens. Again, this is last game of the season. A lot riding on it for the NFC East. I'm sure not a lot of other teams are really worried, especially if Dallas wins. As a Packer fan, I'm not worried at all. Not at all. But we don't have to worry about that unless they somehow make it out of the wild card round. Because even if the Packers did drop to the 2nd seed, you don't play Dallas in the division round. You play the 7th seed, which in this case would be the Bears or the Cardinals. So look for Washington Football Team to win this game. But we'll see what happens with the Eagles. We'll see. There's this will be an interesting game. It's not as hype because again they're all losing record teams. I think it's the winner is 7-9, I believe. I don't think there's anyone that gets to 500 this year, which is that's crazy. But with that being said, I'm gonna go ahead and wrap up here. Like the video, share the video around. Don't forget to subscribe, and we are out of here. Peace.